Welcome to the Advancing Entrepreneur. This show is all about surrounding yourself for success. Hear stories of building traction, gaining acceleration, and creating results from successful entrepreneurs who have surrounded themselves with other successful entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Annette Nightingale James.
Hello, Advancing Entrepreneurs. Annette Nightingale James back here with another episode of the Advancing Entrepreneur Show, where we help you gain traction, acceleration, and results. Today, we are joined by Sean Malarkey. Good morning, Sean.
Hey, Annette. Thanks so much for having me on. It's a real honor.
Absolutely. Let me talk to our audience for a minute and introduce you, and then we'll get right back to you so you can tell us some more.
Awesome.
Sean Malarkey is the owner and founder of Inspired Marketing, which creates, markets, and publishes digital trainings and software for the online marketing world. He was recognized by the Impact Organziation as one of the most impactful businesses that is run by young founders and has been featured everywhere, you guys. He's all over this stinking place. I don't even have time to go through this list. You guys just Google Sean Malarkey and you are going to find out that he is somebody worth following. But Sean, I want you to tell our audience a little bit more. What are you working on? And tell us about where we can connect with you and all that good stuff.
Awesome. So just really working on the business and creating more systems within it. I have a pretty hands-off business. It's like you just mentioned, Inspired Marketing. We create and sell digital trainings primarily in the online marketing space or social media space, and we have some softwares as well. So we have the great benefit. A lot of our products just sell every day through affiliates and joint venture partners, and then a lot of referral traffic from our current customers. So it's a pretty passive or hands-off business for me. But there is, I guess, a lot of work involved. But recently, I've gotten really inspired or motivated into and focusing on creating systems that generate, I guess, just more bang for the buck out of the existing revenue that we have and existing traffic that we have. And that means things like just putting systems in place when somebody purchases one of our products to make them well aware of all the other things that we have. A lot of our company doesn't really have a big brand or a big name. It's mainly used primarily for taxes. In banking information and whatnot, but all of our products have their own kind of brand. So a lot of people will be well aware of the fact that we have a product called FB Influence, but don't realize we have, which is a Facebook training, and they don't realize we have one on LinkedIn or YouTube and video, etc. So we've been doing a pretty good job, or working pretty hard on creating some initiatives to expose our customers to our other trainings as well, and in the same time, increasing revenues per customer as a result. So that's really what I've been working on, is putting a bunch of systems in place and to achieve that, and focus now on 2015, some goals for growth and increasing revenues for 2015.
So very cool. And if our audience wants to find out more about these products and services, make sure you go to iamadvancing.com, type Sean into our search bar, and his show notes page is going to pop up. And we're going to link to some of these products that he's telling us about today, because I am sure there are a lot of people that would love to know how to systemize their business to the point of being able to take it on a lot of passive income, such as you're doing. So I'm sure they're gonna want to connect with you, Sean. They're gonna want to hear what you're up to. So Sean, we know when you're building a business, and maybe I wouldn't even say more as you're getting started, but as you're growing your business, you can come up against roadblocks and you can come up against challenging days. So what gets you past the challenging day? What drives you forward every day?
Whew, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, I consider myself a pretty happy-go-lucky person, and I rarely have challenging days, to be honest. But I will say 2014 has been a challenging year. I've had more just random challenges pop up this year than I have in the last 3 years combined. So I guess just the faith of knowing that most of these challenges are opportunities to grow. And once I get beyond them, in the past when I've had challenging things happen, when I've gotten beyond them, I look back and I'm usually grateful for them. Or if not, I can take away some good learning lessons. But oftentimes, really good things will come out of those challenges, and how I kind of respond and react and remedy or fix or move beyond those. So I guess just the faith that, and that's going to happen, and just plugging away. And then also at the same time, when I have them, it gives me an opportunity to be grateful for all the things that are right in my life. And, I could get down because I have that, but hey, you've got all these other great things going on. So just get beyond this problem and carry on.
Yep. I love that. Looking for the opportunity through the challenge. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell our audience a little bit about the business that you're in now. What kind of led you to the business? What drove you into deciding to do the business that you are now? There's somebody out there right now that's kind of looking for their place, right? They're looking for their time. So I want you to take us to a place in time when you maybe had something before that pivoted you to the direction you are, or just share a story with us of how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, this is great. This is actually I have a good one for this. So I used to have this long professional road. I think in 97, I got my first real job. So here we are almost 20 years later. I 6 years ago, 6 years ago for sure I did, had a real estate company that I owned, which we started buying investment properties. And then we started holding a bunch of properties, started selling properties. So we ended up starting a brokerage. It's fairly big business in the real estate world, a bunch of agents that I managed and whatnot. But I got to the place where I just realized that I was trapped in that business. In other words, I did not have freedom or control of my life. And as long as I was in that business with the partnership that I had, real estate's very labor intensive. It's very hands-on, and it's not like digital trainings. It's not digital content. So I was location primarily, tied to that location with the business partners I had. And there was ways to make it all, but it was just, I realized that it was never going to happen in that particular situation. So I started, searching for other ways and opportunities to, I don't want to say get out of that, but just create something new for my life, because at a certain age, I think around 28, 29, I kind of really placed a high value on freedom and started having a lot of friends that were gaining freedom through their businesses. And when I say that, I mean basically the opportunity or the ability to do what they want when they want. And so they create a business that generated revenue in a fairly systematic process, and then they could run it from their laptops, so they could be anywhere and running the business. And so I started looking at other opportunities, and I realized there was a lot of opportunity in information marketing, if you will, and I knew a lot about real estate, so I thought I'd get into that. One of the things I started doing was studying all the different opportunities I came across. I figured while I was in the real estate business, I could apply a lot of these things and learn them, so that when I did decide to finally make the leap, I was leaving with a good bit of knowledge, but I could also benefit my current business by learning them. So I got into WordPress, I started blogging, we created a website. This is, again, when I did that 7, 8 years ago, and real estate companies didn't even have websites. Not many did back then. Started doing email marketing, started doing paid advertising, you name it. Started learning a lot, and then I got into social media marketing, and Twitter was one of the first platforms that I started doing some kind of organic or free marketing, if you will. We were doing paid traffic on Facebook at the time and generating great results, incredible results. I used to be able to get clicks. Well, anyway, I can go down that road. But so I started working on Twitter, and I came across this software that you could go out and follow lots of people with it. And then back then, Twitter had like not even 10 million accounts on it yet back then. And I can remember like a year after that, they hired their 50th employee, and what a big deal that was. And anyway, so I'm carrying on this long story, but I ended up getting kind of obsessed with Twitter and growing this massive following. And quickly into it, I realized that I was learning a lot and I had a lot to share. And I thought, I want to start a blog outside of real estate and just kind of get my fingers wet in that and writing other things. And so I started this blog called mytwitterexperiment.com, which is now defunct. I think I haven't paid attention to it forever. I think the theme crashed and broke. But that blog, I was writing daily. So saying, hey, this is Sean. These are 3 things I've learned today. And these are a couple pieces of software that I found that are really cool, all related around Twitter and growing a following. And I was growing such a big following so fast that every time I tweet out the link, it would get shared a bunch and retweeted a bunch. And literally like 500, every day I was getting 500 visitors from a tweet or two to my site. And then organically in total, I was over 1,000 visitors a day. Like by the end of the first month, I was over 1,000 uniques a day to the site. And so I knew what I knew about email marketing. From the real estate company, I threw up an opt-in for a 5-day training series on how to grow your following on Twitter. And I literally, when I threw it up, I had day 1 written. And I just thought, well, if people opt into it, then I'll write day 2 and and 3 and 4 and 5 and so on. And that first day I got like 60 opt-ins. I was like, holy cow, and so pretty quickly I grew a list. And after the 5 days were over, I got a lot of people saying, do you have more? I want to learn more. I've read all your blog posts, learned a ton, but I feel like there's a lot you could teach me still. And I kind of knew this was going to happen in that. So I wrote an ebook on 120-page ebook or something on how to use Twitter to grow your following and for marketing and business and everything, and offered it to my list. And that was kind of the beginning of the end that got me out of real estate immediately. That started earning $2, $3, $4 a month. Shortly thereafter, I was like, okay, I can see the light here. If I focus full time on this industry, I could do well. So I told my partners, I'm done. Buy me out from the real estate business. Least I got a desk at a co-working space to start working on the social media business. And I met my then business partner, Lewis Howes, working at the same co-working space. And Lewis and I met, connected immediately. We had a lot of mutual friends in Columbus. We were both from Columbus, Ohio at that point, and telling us we should meet because he was doing the same thing I was doing with LinkedIn. And so we met, teamed up. We held a couple webinars, generated some good revenue, and that was kind of the beginning of our company at that point. So that's like the early part of the beginning story, but basically that's how I got started or got into this industry.
So very cool. Well, as you were going through that journey of starting to pivot and realizing that there was a new pathway here, and I love that this has been a theme that's been recurring through our interviews, right? You went out and got proof of concept first. You didn't sit down and write a 200-page book about Twitter and everything that it could do. You didn't even write your full 5 emails. I love that, actually. Some people, that makes them nervous to do that, but I think it's a great way. Go out and get proof of concept and then see who opts in, who raises their hand, who is willing to do it. Because sometimes we have ideas that are better in our head and they're not exactly what the market is looking for. So that's been a recurring theme. So I wanted to point that out. I think that's great. So as you were going through, was there kind of a point in time when you realized that you wanted to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs? Did you start attending conferences or did you plug into a mastermind group as you were starting to build your information marketing business?
Sort of. So, I mean, I knew immediately like I needed to get in an environment that was inspiring. So I went to this co-working space. In Columbus, it was called the Sandbox. It was unbelievable, actually, when I look back on it. If there was a place like that here in Santa Barbara, there is a place like that, but not nearly as great. I would join. But anyway, that I knew I needed to be around smart people, and that's actually how I met Lewis. So that was kind of the beginning. And early on, we didn't do a lot of, we did a few conferences here and there, but our main thing, because social media was so new, was we realized there was an opportunity to help other people who had a lot of influence with their social media profiles because they were doing nothing with it. So we just reached out and said, hey, I mean, these were like some of the biggest names at the time, but just said, hey, your Twitter presence, your LinkedIn profile is awful. There's a lot you can do with it. Let me help you. Let me do it for you. And they're like, what do you want in return? Like, nothing. We just want to help you. You're kind of not an idol, but someone we really look up to, and we just love to help you. And so we do that, and then they would just come back and say, I have to repay you in some way. How can I repay you? And that happened, actually. The laws of reciprocity kicked in. And we had an idea that would happen. And if not, like our approach the whole time was, even if there is no reciprocity, it's an honor to work with a lot of these people. So let's just proceed with that in mind. And if they don't want to help us out in return, it's cool because we had the opportunity to work with them and we built a relationship that we figured at some point, we would be able to leverage or in some capacity. And what was cool was about 75% of the people that we helped ended up saying, how can I help you? And they would promote our offers back to their audience and their list. And I mean, that literally took us from 0 to multiple 6 figures our first 12 months in business. So just that alone. And what was funny was in that, the power of social proof, we worked with one influencer, and then all of a sudden we'd have random other people reaching out saying, hey, I saw what you did with so-and-so. I want to work with you guys too. And that first year, I mean, it was not a roller coaster. I mean, it was a roller coaster, but we were on the rail up, just no slowing down, no nothing. And it was pretty fascinating, pretty exciting.
So very cool, very cool. So I love that co-working space too. Just get out of the home office sometimes, right? Just go put yourself in an environment with other people. Just sometimes just that act of removing yourself can create a pathway. So I love your story about that. Well, tell me, besides the actual giving back or go, like the proactive giving forward, what kind of light bulb moment or aha did you have when you're like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is going to work, or this is how we need to change it a little bit, or share with our audience a time when surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs, when being more concerned about adding value led to something good for you.
Yeah, so it's kind of, you touched on a bunch of different topics, if you will, but I'll just share kind of a pivotal shift in our business that kind of came up and happened that really changed the course of our business and created what we have now. And it was initially kind of inspired by serving people. At the time we had a $1,000 training, and that even still is pretty commonplace today, but it was more so back then. And we thought, you know what, we have this whole subset of our audience who doesn't have $1,000 and would love to learn. And at that time we were selling like this, all-encompassing social media training. So when you purchase it, you're going to learn about Facebook video, YouTube, LinkedIn, blogging, email marketing. And kind of we had this system where it was like, we'll teach you about these networks, and then we'll teach you how to drive traffic to your website, build an email list, and then market them via your email list, whatever you have to offer. And we would have people like say, I can't afford $1,000. Can you teach me just the portion on LinkedIn or this, that, and the other? So we ended up creating a training for LinkedIn. It was a $100 training, and it was just on LinkedIn. And we reached out to all of our affiliates and just said, hey, we're launching this, sell it, great, whatever. And we didn't really have many affiliates at that time, but we did get a little bit of support. We did, I can't remember the numbers, but let's just say $50,000 in sales in a couple of weeks on it. So we were pretty excited. But what happened was that shocked us was a couple of weeks after, it was like a month after it was over. This has been so long ago, but I can't remember. But I want to say like a month later, we were still generating sales on a daily basis to the tune of $200-$300 a day in revenue and profit, and not just total sales, but in profit to us after paying affiliates. And I thought, why is this happening? So I did some research, and we listed our product on ClickBank. This is funny. The only reason we listed it on ClickBank instead of, running it ourselves through Infusionsoft or something on our own merchant account was because we were both going to be traveling for an extended period of time during this launch going on, and we didn't have anybody to write a check to our affiliates and say, hey, here's your commission. So ClickBank handles all of that for you. So we said, let's just put it on ClickBank and they'll pay everybody and they'll send us a check for our shares. So what happened was, what we didn't anticipate or realize was that because we got a few people to support it, it rose pretty high in ClickBank's rankings, if you will, for new products that were selling well. And there's a leaderboard and all these websites dedicated to what's new, what's hot, and whatnot. And all these other affiliates that have just random ways to drive traffic, or smaller audiences or even big audiences pay attention to that, find it, and then promote it. So I realized right then that, oh my gosh, there was an opportunity here. Because we had risen so high, people were finding us, new affiliates were finding us daily and selling our products. And so after another month went by, like sales were still 5-6 sales a day, generating $250 to $300 a day in profit. I thought to myself, man, this would be amazing if we had multiple products doing this every day. So we looked at doing one for Facebook and one for YouTube. At that point, those were two of the more popular networks. But we weren't experts in that space. So we reached out to two friends of ours that were, Amy Porterfield and James Wedmore, and said, hey, literally within the same week of each other, would you be interested in creating this training? If you create the training, we'll handle everything else, and we'll make money. And they did, and those went on to become, all three of those products now generate incredible daily revenues and do so. They've sold probably north of, just those products alone, more than $5 million in revenue, and do well every day. So anyway, that was kind of the beginning of it, and now we have 8 products that all but one sell every day. The dozen is a event-based deal, but 7 of them sell just about every single day and generate revenue. And so that was kind of the beginning, that moment of hey, we have this whole subset of our audience that can't afford $1,000 training. We'd love to sell them something because they want it, and we'd love to help them. And anyway, that was the beginning of a big shift in our business, because up until that point, it was a real hustle saying, like, hey, it was literally webinars, like 3-4 webinars every week selling our $1,000 training. And it was like, okay, this week we work with so-and-so, who we're going to work with next week, and who we're going to work with the following week. So we were constantly doing outreach and all this stuff. And it was a nice transition to go from that to, hey, look, we just made a sale. Hey, look, we just made a sale, So
Very cool shift in business. So Sean, share with the audience, what are you working on now? Do you have some projects coming up, or are you just loving the automation part of the business?
No. So I mean, the big thing for us is just working on kind of maximizing customer value, and doing that in a number of ways. We're exploring a lot of exploring and doing a lot of retargeting, really unique, kind of interesting retargeting, which means if you come to our website and you don't purchase, you might go back to Facebook, you might go back to YouTube, you might go back to Google, you might go back to Twitter, wherever, any kind of website, and see one of our ads saying, come back and buy. So we're doing a lot of that, and we're finding that's working really well. Doing a lot of interesting stuff on the front end just to get people exposed to our websites through advertising. We have a brand new software, not a new software, but a new version of a software that we're rolling out in a pretty major fashion next week. That's a pretty cool software. It's called Simple Video Press, and it allows you to take your YouTube videos. For your podcast, do you create videos?
Yes.
Yeah, so it allows you to take your YouTube videos, or videos that you put on YouTube, and automatically create blog posts out of them. So for example, for my podcast, The Money Pillow, I had about 25 interviews on YouTube at the time we created the software, and I installed it, and you plug in your YouTube credentials, and within 1 minute, I had 25 new posts created in a new category on my website. It was labeled video interviews. So it took me all of 1 minute to do that. It brings over all the comments as well, creates a little opt-in box to sign up for your newsletter below the email, a one-click subscribe button for YouTube if they're signed into Google. We have some new features we're rolling out, so you can lock the content. So when somebody lands on your page, they have to enter their email to get in. You can put a skip thing as well. There'll be a little button that says skip if you want to get beyond that step, if you want to offer that as an option. Is
it just basically a transcript of the video, or?
No, it takes the actual video and creates a post out of it.
So, okay, very.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So, and if you don't want it to auto-publish, there's an option to send you an email and say you have a pending post. So a lot of people like to do that and go in and they edit the title and edit the content a little bit. But just creating that post, putting the embed code in there, is a huge step for a lot of people. We have people that have installed it that have 200 videos, and immediately they have 200 brand new pieces of content. They can put on their site, and they can pick and choose which ones they want and don't want. And then when you can set it so when you upload a new video to YouTube, it'll automatically ping you and say, hey, we just published a post, or you have a post pending. So just a really cool software that it's a really good lead generation, get more subscribers, and automation to save some time and energy with that step.
Yeah, well, send me the link to that, and we will post it on your show notes page on the website. So if you go to IamAdvancing.com audience, type Sean into the search bar there, and his show notes page is going to come up with all these cool links about what Sean is working on and the software that he was just telling us about. So that is awesome. Well, listen, Sean, I'm going to take you through a little bit of a speed round now. I want to get our audience to get to know you better, and we're going to do a speed round called Playing Favorites. So, Sean, let us know, what is your favorite charity?
Pencils for Promise.
Love it. Nick Unsworth is doing his whole virtual summit benefiting Pencils for Promise. So that's very cool. I got to see that interview with the founder.
I was looking. I don't have it on my desk. I don't know where. I just built a stand-up desk and rearranged my office, but I've got. We've built, I think, 3 schools down there, and we're working on our 4th now. It's pretty impressive, what they're doing. So
very cool, very cool. So tell us, what is your favorite quote?
Oh man, you probably sent me a whole list of pre-rolled questions that I would have been ready. But
all these questions.
You did. I always ignore. I don't ignore them. I just don't read them because I want to be really authentic, and I want to be genuine. And I feel like if I know ahead of time, but this is one where it would have been good to know. So my favorite quote Oh, man, there's so many good ones, but there's one that basically, uh, I'm gonna, you know what, I'll email it to you and you can post it in there. It has to do with creating your own luck and, if you will, creating your own luck.
Okay,
So
very
just
good.
can't
You
remember.
sent me the official one, but entrepreneurs create your own luck. So
Yes, it's a really good one.
I'm sure
Damn it,
you do so many of these interviews too. You probably have most of these things, but tell us, what is your favorite discovery, an app or a resource that you use in your business every day?
um, Lead Pages has been a great one. Been loving Lead Pages. Yeah.
Awesome. Leadpages.net, audience, if you are not familiar. So what is your favorite song?
So that's another great question. You know what? A good one I've been listening to is let me think of the name of it. I don't want to sing it.
I was going to
Embarrass
say, if you
myself.
can't remember the name, I'm going to make you sing it. So
It's the big Hawaiian guy, and what is the name of the song? Hold on. It's Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
okay, very good. And
Do you know the song I'm talking about?
so I don't. I'm sorry.
It's a beautiful song, but I'll send you a YouTube link or you
So yeah, so our audience can take advantage of that.
with that quote. My God, no, it's an amazing song. Okay, go ahead.
Very good. Okay, last question. What is your favorite business book?
That is an easy one. I've got it here on my desk, and it's not necessarily like a business book per se, but I think if you are an entrepreneur or just care about being a better person, this is an amazing book to read. And it's by Jim Rohn, and it's Leading an Inspired Life. And that was not set up. I just pulled it out because there's a whole section that I'm reading. You can see by my thing on setting complete goals, and it's amazing. So this is one of those books that for me, I have a hard time reading more than 3 or 4 pages because it motivates me so much that I just want to put it down.
Sometimes you like read a book and you get so many ideas. It's like you have to set the book down and either go do something or refocus on what you're already working on.
Exactly. I mean, it literally is, yeah, it's that way for me. I just want to get up and kick ass. So
Awesome. Very good. All right, John, we're winding down here, but I want you to share with our audience one piece of advice that you today would give that version of yourself that was just getting started in business. Then I want you to tell our audience where they can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
yeah, that's a really great question. And the one thing I would say, and this is something, I mean, I live personally and was probably a large part of why I was successful early on, and you kind of touched on it earlier, was just to do it. There's so many things that go on in our head that stop us from actually doing, that kill that initial excitement and momentum that we have early on. So we get so concerned with things that could or may happen down the road, or things we need to do down the road, that we end up stopping doing the early things, which generally those early things are enough that we get results from the early things that we get excited to finish the things or figure out the problems that come up down the road. So I find so many people get all these great ideas and get 90% of the way there and then quit because they get overwhelmed with what potentially could come up or needs to happen. And they could have just, sped through that first little bit of work, got it out to the world, and then improved and moved, and fixed things later on. But yes, that's the biggest thing I think is people get so caught up in trying to do everything before launching something or just putting something out to the world that my advice is always just do it. Even if it's imperfect, give you the opportunity. Usually the results, if you have a good idea, the results and the feedback that you get from whatever you want to put out that you get early on will be inspiring and will push you through to create, ideally what you have in your head is that vision of something amazing.
Cool. I love it. I love it. Sean, tell our audience where they can connect with you.
So Facebook is probably the one place that I am on often, and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I haven't been using Instagram as much lately. I have a podcast called The Money Pillow. My website, it's old and outdated. It's not like a big profit center for me, but you can go there. There's a lot of great content there. But yeah, probably Facebook. And if you send me a friend request, just mention that you saw me on the show, and that way I know who to accept or hit the limit. So I try and be not selective, but there's just more people selecting that I want to delete every day. So if somebody somebody that has a relationship with me already from this podcast.
So you get special preference because you heard him on the Advancing Entrepreneur Show. So
Exactly.
It's all about that connection. It's all about connecting. So very cool. Well, Sean, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate the insights that you have shared with our audience. We look forward to connecting with you again in the future and hearing what's going on.
Thank you so much for having me, Annette. It's been a real honor.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Advancing Entrepreneur. If you enjoyed it, leave us a rating and review. Not only will it make our day, you'll also be helping others find this show and advance their own careers. Once you're done, be sure to head on over to iamadvancing.com and join our community to learn what it takes to be an advancing entrepreneur and surround yourself for success. Thanks again, and get ready to advance.